welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a bit of a day of finishing jobs off. So I have got our bed to make. Now I put off making our bed because it is a bit of a mammoth task. So the whole reason I started Instagram, would you believe it, stemmed from this bed. It sounds a bit random. When we bought the bed, we were looking for, I should go back to the beginning. Let me start at the beginning. I like a story, don't I? So let me start at the beginning. We were looking for a larger bed. We had a king size bed and it saw us through the children being babies and 4 in a bed when they were tiny. And we very much operate a open bed policy. So children go to their beds for sleeping, but if they wake up during the night, they're very welcome to come into our bed and give us snuggles. So we are quite happy to know that we're quite happy to have them in our bed, knowing that they're not going to be young for long. And I mean, already they're sleeping through the night and only coming through for the last hour before waking up for school. I mean, it's already getting to that stage. So every little moment that we get to savor them is like the best feeling in the world. It's like so amazing waking up on a Sunday morning all snuggled in bed, which is always our dream. So yeah, so we started looking for a bigger bed. So we started looking at Super Kings. Now the room that this is in is quite a large room, and because we have only got 2 children, the room next door is going to be turned into our dressing room and ensuite eventually. So we knew that we didn't have to accommodate wardrobes, although even with this bed we still could if we wanted to. So we looked into getting a Super King, as I said, and then realised we actually could fit a larger bed. And it's the same as when you start looking for something. Oh, add on an extra £200 and you can get this, add on an extra this, and oh, then that's definitely worth it. So it started to snowball. And we eventually settled on a large Emperor. So you get Super King, I think it goes Super King, Emperor, large Emperor. Because we figured the children will just get bigger. They're not going to get any smaller. So we may as well buy a bed that will be able to fit us all on a Sunday morning, having our breakfast in bed, watching some Sunday morning TV and watching or snuggling up on a Saturday night to watch movies when it's cold outside and you can hear the wind and you're snuggled up in your blankets in your duvet. Just, that sort of feeling. So we decided to go for the largest bed that we could buy from Vispring. So Vispring mattresses were who we narrowed down to. We tried a number of ones. We also, this may sound a little bit silly, but we had been looking to buy a new bed for quite a while. So any place that we went to stay, we stripped the bedding back, checked where the mattress was from, and took a note of it if we liked it or didn't like it. Because sleeping in it overnight makes a huge difference to know whether you like something or not. So that's what we did. And we slept on this bed, I can't remember which hotel it was in now, but of Vispring, and realised, wow, it was just the best mattress we'd ever slept on. And we tried quite a few. So the largest mattress that they can do without having a zip down the middle, because quite a lot of the bed companies that have beds this size, mattresses this size, have a zip down the middle. But because we like to cuddle, the zip would be right where we were cuddling. And then they said, oh, what we can do though is we can put a topper on. And we were like, we're paying all this money for a beautifully made mattress that we then have to put a topper on top to make it comfortable. So we're like, no, we need a bed that we can sleep any part of it and it's fine. So this was the largest one we could get without having the zip. And getting it delivered was just, oh, you can imagine trying to get up the stairs. Oh my word. And when we try and flip the bed as well, oh my word, it's an absolute nightmare. It's probably the best investment we have ever made. And when we decided on the mattress, we then looked into companies for getting a headboard and bed designed. And I had saved Headboards by Design way back at the very beginning when we first started this, and it was exactly what we wanted. They had 2 designs that we liked, and because they make them bespoke to your own measurements, they were able to accommodate the size of mattress from the company. We gave exact dimensions. They were also able to increase the height, so it's like hotel, boutique sort of hotel height, sort of up to my waist. So it's quite high. I'll show you, I'll stand back and I'll show you the height after. But we like 2 different designs, and we also wanted to change the feet. So they managed to incorporate this beautiful wenge wood with the stud detailing and this type of padding, so they could make it bespoke. And the extra, you only paid for the extra materials from on top of the price, and they made it to our measurements. So absolutely phenomenal service, great customer service. They sent us all the samples of the woods, all the samples of the different studs you could get. I'll show you, I've still got all those in my samples drawer, so I'll show you them as well. But fantastically done. Although it was expensive, I won't lie, we decided that we spend half of our lives in our bed, probably more than that, and it really, really makes such a difference to have a really good bed. And it really, I do exaggerate when I say change my life, but it really has made our lives better. So I would highly recommend go for the largest bed that you possibly can fit in, because you can still cuddle in the middle. Just because you've got a big bed doesn't mean you can't cuddle. Anyway, I'm going to get on with ironing and making this bed. Better tie my hair up, and I usually get a sweat on, so I better take my top off, because better take my jumper off. Not my top, that's a totally different bedroom story. Let's get started. My sample drawer. It's the bottom drawer of Steve's bedside table. This is where I store everything that I've ordered online. It's basically, when anything comes in, this is where it goes in terms of samples for things for the house. So these are the wood choices for the bed, these three, and I went for the dark wenge wood in the middle. This is what you're sent from Headboards by Design. They give you a sample of what the studs look like, and we obviously went for the distressed antique in the middle, but you also have chrome and brass there, and then this is the fabric that we chose for our bed, but they send out any swatches of any of the fabric you like. This one, our bed, is actually the cotton weave Chateau Grey, but they do everything. There's velvets, there's dark colours, light colours, you name it, they've got it. And this is my little sample thing that I'm going to keep. We chose a Vi Spring Wembury Superb, which is exclusive to John Lewis, and this is no longer available, but there are other similar ones on their website. We also did 0% finance over 2 years and took advantage of spreading the cost over that time. Trip to go and see my brother, who is doing a cycle from John O'Groats to Earlston to raise money for Wishaw NICU, where my sister-in-law's cousin's little boy was treated. So we are going set with our "Go and go Ross, go!" and the children thought it wouldn't be right for them to have flags and for us not to have, so Steve is delighted about having a "Go Ross, go" flag, aren't you, Steve? So we are on our way to Gleneagles to wave them past. They are going past Gleneagles on the Comrie Creef Ochterarder Road. So we are en route. We've raised over £4,000 and they were hoping to raise 2,000. So very, very proud big sister. And I'm very excited. Can't wait to see them. It's slightly different than what we'd obviously planned with the new restrictions, but I'm just delighted that I'm going to get to see him. I'm just so delighted. It's going to be really good, and they've done so well. This is day three of a long cycle, and they are almost there, more than halfway. So very proud. I can't wait. Steve's laughing at me because I am so excited. Oh, I cannot wait for him to come. Almost. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Go, Oscar! Go, buddy, go! Bye! Good luck! Bye! Got home late last night, straight up to bed. I love those nights when you come back and children are straight into bed because they've fallen asleep in the car. An easy bedtime. And then you transfer them to their beds, and then we just went straight up to bed as well. Took a cup of tea up to bed and ended up watching a film that we fell asleep to. So we decided to sack it, go to sleep. Both of us were drifting in and out. So we have decided to stop. It looks like a really good one. It's called The Gentleman. We didn't want to spoil it by trying to force yourselves to stay awake, so we're going to watch that tonight maybe. If not, it'll be a good one for next weekend. So it's a lazy Sunday for us after our adventures yesterday. What a great day. Oh, what a great day. It was just so nice. I got so excited. But I just love I love embarrassing my little brother for a start with the flags. We're going to take a banner because I have loads of old fax rolls, from the fax machines, old style fax machines. Mum was clearing out her office during COVID and we've got loads of them to use with the children, and they're fantastic because they roll out, but it's really thin paper, so the flags are a backup, and good job we did because it was a little bit windy, although not as windy down there as it was with us up here. But it was a great day. So nice to see Ross, and the boys did so well. They're in their final stretch today, and there are people joining them to finish off the cycle at 1:30, I think. So not far. We're at 1:10 just now. So yeah, not far before they're going to have people to join them in the last leg. My sister-in-law is going to be cycling along with them, and the mother of the little boy who was in the NICU, Katie, is also going to be joining Barry, her husband, on the cycle too. So it'll be really nice, and I can't wait to see the photos of that or the videos that they post to show the journey, the last leg of the journey. They've done so well, and I'm very, very, very proud big sister. And I got so excited seeing him. It was just, I used to go and watch him racing. I used to do go-karting. And yeah, I was an embarrassing sister then. And I like to embarrass him. It's good to embarrass your little siblings, isn't it? But I'm very proud, and a very, very proud big sister. Anyway, I'm sitting with a peppermint tea in my lovely rocking chair. I'm loving this rocking chair. This is my amazing find from a local lady who got it 30 years ago over in Germany, and they got this rocking chair. I'll turn you around to hide the Hoover in the background. got to watch the angles. Oh, and my Crocs on the floor. Yeah, I got to watch the angles when I'm filming just now. So she bought this rocking chair when she had her baby when they were over in Germany, and they were getting a dog, and they said they had to get rid of the chair. But I was so glad that I could give something so sentimental a lovely home. So it's currently sitting in front of what will be a cosy stove during the winter months, and I just love a rocking chair. Good morning, my lovelies. I thought that I would speak to you while I'm making some gnocchi. So let me pop you down here. Let me get set up. My holder's a little bit wonky, which isn't great. How's that? I'm a bit far away. Let's put you there. Is that better? Yeah, so I'm going to be making gnocchi. I did extra mashed potatoes last night when I was cooking for our Sunday roast anyway. And I've done this 2 times before, and they've turned out perfectly. So much better than the ones you buy in the shop. The ones you buy in the shop seem so dry. These are so fluffy and like little pillows, like little fluffy pillows in your mouth. They're really, really tasty. So I highly recommend you doing extra potatoes when you're doing your mash on a Sunday, or whenever you're doing a mash. okay, you've got milk and butter in it. It makes no difference to this recipe. Really good. This recipe is from, it's this one here, finecooking.com. Finecooking.com? Yeah, finecooking.com, and it's just the potato gnocchi recipe. So I'm just away to weigh everything out and make this. So I thought if I can do this while I'm speaking to you guys, then it's company for me. It's tying my hair up because I don't want any hair in the gnocchi. And then wash my hands. Okay, so I'm going to throw on my apron. We had a lovely Sunday yesterday, nice and relaxing. Didn't really do very much. What am I supposed to do? I need to go get some flour. Oh, blast. To you, and I've added the flour first before adding the eggs to the potatoes. I'm now away to try and pour out the flour. Baking with Lynn. Oh my, I've made this a couple of times before. I can't believe I didn't even think. Goodness me. It'll still be fine. It'll all mush together. Steve will never know the difference. He'll just be delighted to have homemade gnocchi. He just loves it. When we first got together, one of the first meals he made lulled me into a false sense of security that he was a good cook. So I was under the impression that he was very good at cooking after his amazing homemade gnocchi. But it's such an easy way of being able to use up your leftover potatoes. I always froze my leftover potatoes. I always put them in the freezer and then took them out, and they were always dry. You had to add a bit of extra butter and milk to make them a little bit more palatable. And they were never as good sleep falling down. Yeah, they were never as good than if you made them fresh. So, but I hated waste. So if I wasn't planning on a meal the next day with the potatoes, I would freeze them. And they do freeze okay, but this is a much better use of leftover potatoes because it makes your lunches so nice. And I think today I'm going to use up the leftover tomato passata that I had from making the pizzas on Friday night. I don't like waste, so I try and think up ways of using up that. So I'm going to use the sauce from there, that sauce, and make up a nice tomato-based sauce. And then I'm hoping to change out these clothes. I did have my working clothes on this morning. Just wash my hands. So I figured that I would change out my working clothes, put on some nicer clothes, because I'm going to head to the post office as well to return some orders. I usually wait to the Thursday at the end of the week because then I can get basically everything that I'm wanting to return, do it all at once. But I've got some things that have been waiting that I didn't get returned on the Thursday. So I'm going to go and return those as well. So I thought it was a good idea to put on to change out the working clothes that I had on, put on some nice clothes, and then in the afternoon, do the gnocchi. I tidied up upstairs, made the beds. I didn't actually open the windows to air them today. I meant to and I forgot. But did all the bedding, tidied up the usual morning rush stuff, and then decided to make the gnocchi for lunch. And then that way we can have it before I head in to do the posting and things. And then I will change into my outdoor working clothes, and I'm going to go out into the greenhouse. I need to get the greenhouse finished because the weather's going to turn. It's already getting cold, so I need to finish it, protect it for the winter months. That is the plan for today. This year's going to be a bit different, isn't it, for Halloween? There's going to be no trick-or-treating. We're thinking about doing something, making it a bit Halloweeny here and doing like looking for apples. Because if you think about it, I would say we probably were Bartley and Grace's age going trick-or-treating, but there's no reason why we can't make Halloween good fun just being here and do like games and things in the house. Because if you think about it, like their birthdays, both of them said they had the best day ever. Now, I completely ruin myself every birthday to try and make it as special as possible, and they absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this year with no party. So obviously they'd have loved to have a party, but they said it was one of the best years ever. So I just think that it's what you make of it. I think if you can think positively and think right and not make a big deal and focus on the things that we're missing out on and think of the things that we'll get to have and things that we get to do that we usually don't. I'm going to try and make Halloween the most fun for the children. They want to dress up with the costumes they had from last year, so that is a very easy year for me this year. So yeah, I'm happy with that. We can just dress up, we can do Duking for Apples, we can do some donuts on a string, we can just do some party games. I might even set up one of those, you know, the boxes where you put your hands in and you have to guess what there is. I remember doing that at school. We had like a Halloween party at school, and there was like spaghetti for like worms, and then there was like brains. I wonder what the brains were. I'll have to look, and you put your hands in, you had to guess what they were, but you obviously knew, but it was supposed to be spooky. This is what let me show you what I'm doing just now. So literally, you take some of this dough, you're supposed to cover it so it doesn't dry out, but I haven't found it's dried out in the times that I've done it. Roll it into a big sausage, and then use a sharp knife. You can make it fancy and do like with a fork and make it nice, but these are little pillows of deliciousness, and you cook them, you put them in a pan of boiling water, and then when they rise, when they start floating, is when they're cooked. So simple, like 3 minutes and they're cooked. This takes a little bit of time, but it'll make enough for today and tomorrow's lunch. So it's, and it tastes delicious. So it's definitely better use. I remember my mum, how she used hers was either milk with leftover tatties, or she would put leftover tatties into tomato soup. And I must admit, it's quite tasty. But I think this is a better way of using the leftover potatoes. And it definitely makes Steve very happy. And it's difficult for Steve working from home just now. He's not moving from his desk. You know, I'm taking coffees and things through to him, so he's not even coming through for a coffee. And he's definitely spending a lot more time working, which it's nice when you are doing that to have something nice to come through for lunch for. I mean, he goes, as soon as he comes down, he's straight through, and I bring his breakfast through to him. And I think he's definitely working longer hours, and I think that many of you will probably be in the same situation if you're working from home, because you don't have that commute. So you think, oh, brilliant, I've got that extra 2 hours, which, you know, really would be the length of time. But instead, you are probably being a lot more productive, which is great. And companies, I think, are finding that people are more productive being at home, because, well, I say that, I feel for the parents that were homeschooling and working from home. That must have been an absolute nightmare to juggle, because children, when they were being homeschooled, needed a lot of attention, but also so did your job. I think that must have been such a tough time for parents. But just now when the schools are back and still working from home, I think it's quite a difficult balance to get, because you feel like you should be working, and in the office you would probably have a lot more breaks, because you would be chatting to people. You would, you know, someone would come into the office or whatever, and you start speaking, and that would be a 10-minute break away from your work. And the negative, I suppose, as well, is that when you were doing your work in the office, if you had a question about a certain part of the job, then this looks really dodgy. I'm literally rolling. Let me show you. I'm literally just rolling out a section of that big ball like this into a sausage, and then I just slice. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's only Steve and I, but I might improve my presentation. Oh, if you're just going again, let me try and there we go. Yeah, what was I saying? If you had an issue with something and you needed the answer, you would maybe say in the office, does anyone know where file such and such is, or does anyone know when that was completed, when that job was completed, how long that's been, blah 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 blah, whatever the question is. And if someone didn't know the answer, someone else would say, oh, John knows, so yeah, you can ask him, and you'd find the answer out really quickly. But I think working from home, one of the challenges is that you are maybe phoning one person up and finding out, and then you chat for 10 minutes saying, you know, because you can't just phone up and ask one question because you haven't said hi. And then you've spent that time speaking to them, and then they maybe don't know the answer, and you still got to go and try and phone around and try and find the answer for something, which is slowing work down. So I think there are positives and negatives, the same as every situation. There's positive and negatives about every scenario. But I personally am absolutely loving having Steve at home. We spent a year traveling, and the only time we were apart was for 2 hours when I went back to the room and did a girly nail varnish pamper session, while Steve went out with one of our best friends who was our groomsman. He came over to visit, and we spent the majority of the time all together. But that one night I said, look guys, you carry on drinking, I'm done. I want to go home, and I want to put my pajamas on, well, home in the resort. we're staying in. I want to go back to the room and I want to put my pajamas on, I want to do my nail varnish, and then you guys have a nice catch up, the two of you, and carry on drinking and have a bit of fun, you know, a bit of boy time as well. So they had a chance, just the two of them. And that's the only time in the whole year, exactly 365 days, that we spent apart. Other than your usual having a shower and that sort of thing. What I mean by apart as in not in the same location. And we enjoy spending our time together. So this has been great. That's a positive of lockdown, is that when the children were here, they got to see their daddy every single day at lunchtime. Now, they'll never get that again. Well, we hope they'll never get that again, because obviously that would mean another lockdown. But they'll never get that in their lifetime again. And they're at such an age that that was just so special, that every lunchtime we would get lunch ready. Well, obviously during school term we were finishing, obviously during the school term we were finishing work. So it wasn't the same, but in the summer holidays we were getting lunch ready, and they got to have, sometimes it was only 10 minutes if that's all that daddy could stop for. Sometimes it was an hour, if you could take a lunch break, or sometimes he took a lunch break and then managed to work on later on at night. And the children got that every single day. Now, if Steve was in the office, they wouldn't have had that. I've got a few more of these rolls to do, maybe 3 more, and then that'll be me done. But look how many I've got already. You're supposed to put them on a baking tray and then cover them in flour on the baking tray. But what I do is I just toss them in this bowl, toss them around, and then sieve off the excess flour, because when it goes in the water, it comes off anyway. And it just stops them sticking together, because the outside of the roll is obviously, you're rolling it in flour, so the outside is coated, but then when you cut it, there's the extremities of the cuttings are obviously soft and potato-like. So literally in this bowl, all I did was I added, so it's potatoes, 2 pounds of potatoes. I'll just give you the recipe to save you having to look it up. I will link it in the description box down below, obviously, but 2 pounds of potatoes. They say about 4 medium scrub, but what I do is I just weigh out what I've got left, and it's usually about 2 pounds. I was a little bit less today, but I still added the same ingredients and it's worked out fine. And then 1.5 cups of flour. They say unbleached all-purpose flour, but I used just my bread flour, strong white 00 flour, but you could use plain flour. I think you wouldn't be able to use self-raising, because obviously that would make them a bit puffy. And then 1 teaspoon of salt, but you can alter that if you've got children. And then 1 large egg, and then you literally don't do what I did, put the flour in with the potatoes first. You put the egg in with the potatoes first, mix the eggs, the wet ingredients together, and then add your flour and salt, and add your salt to the flour, and then add your flour and salt to the egg and potato mixture, and then mix it all together, and then literally don't mix it too much, because it'll make it tough. You just mix it until it starts to become sticky, and you can tell the change in the dough. So literally just cut it, and then see how those ends are not covered in flour. Those are what you're tossing them in the flour for, like this. I am no expert at this. I literally downloaded this recipe and then tried it, and this is the 3rd time I've done it with the leftover potatoes, and it's so tasty. And then I just basically take off the excess flour and pop it in the bowl. I love being able to use up, because this will be at least 2 lunches for us, from 4 potatoes essentially. And I just think that's fantastic when you've got leftovers. And the good thing is, I think you can freeze this. It doesn't say, but I can't see why you wouldn't be able to freeze this. That you could make, like, say you have got loads of potatoes left over and they're gonna go off. Just boil up a whole pan of potatoes and make a big batch of this. Pop it in your freezer in little packets, and then you could just cook it from frozen. And I can't see why that would be any. I might actually try that out and see if it works. But I think this will do for today. But that would be a good idea. The children loved, we made pasta at the end of the summer holidays, and we made spaghetti, and we made some farfarelli. Is that how you say it? Farfalle? However you pronounce it. We made some of that and froze it, and it cooked really well and so easily, and much more delicious than dried pasta. Guys, I will leave you there. But thank you very much for listening. If you're not subscribed, please click the subscribe. Please, if you're not subscribed, please click the wee subscribe button. And if you love this, please share it with whoever you think would love it, because as much as I love spreading the word about other people, I would love if you were able to spread the word about something you enjoy. I've just popped today's lot in, and I've still got tomorrow's to finish off making. But you see they all sink to the bottom, and then when they're ready, they rise to the top. It takes like 2 minutes, and they start to rise. I've just made a really quick, steaming up, sorry, puttanesca to have along with it, and I'm going to keep half of this for tomorrow, and then I've got the other lot to finish making just now for tomorrow's lunch, and then that'll be 2 nice lunches over the next 2 days. So I better get making the cup of tea for after this. Simple recipe, I just knocked it up. It literally is some chopped onion, garlic. I used the leftover passata that was left from making the pizzas on Friday night. I also added a tin of chopped tomatoes, and also some sun-dried tomato paste, some black olives, some capers, and some anchovies, and some chili flakes. And that's it. Very, very quick and simple, throw everything in kind of dish, and it tastes divine. Guys, lots of love, and I hope you've enjoyed. See you later, guys. Love you lots. Bye.